and thank you for clicking back on my channel. Now today we are going to be going over my election prediction results with the actual Electoral College, as well as my prediction for the Georgia Senate race. Now, to my surprise, and maybe to your surprise, I was very, very close for both of them. So without further ado, my face is going to shrink away here, and we'll start looking at them. So, starting off, you can kind of see I underestimated both parties, both people. I thought it would be closer than it actually was. I thought each party wouldn't go as well as they did. I am missing a couple key states like Ohio and North Carolina, um, and I have Georgia going for Trump instead of for Biden. Now, if you look at the major differences, those are the only two states that actually are different, or three states that are different: Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now I know when I made this map, I predicted Ohio to be a toss-up, but to my surprise, on November 3rd, that Ohio was confirmed very quickly. One of the first few Trump states, I believe, to have been confirmed for Trump. Now, North Carolina, I expected to be a little bit of pushback. I expected more than what there was, and I didn't feel comfortable putting that in either category because I thought it would be either solid red or solid blue, but I wasn't quite sure which one. Now, Georgia, on the other hand, I did feel comfortable giving it to Trump. I really did think he was going to pull out ahead in the state of Georgia. But to my surprise, Georgia certified their votes and they voted for Biden. Now, if you notice, they are the only deep South state to go blue, and that is something that we might see happen more and more. As you saw with Texas and with Florida, both of those were could have gone Biden, as I have here. They could have easily gone Biden, and if we flipped one of those, it would have been over for Trump. Now, I did want to point out that every other state I did get correctly. Like even Nevada's district that I had trouble with, I had that correct as well. Um, as you can see throughout the New England here, the Northeast area, as you can see that the South, every other state was correct except for Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia. Now, I'm not trying to brag or whatever. I'm not trying to say I'm better than all of you because I'm honestly probably not. But I did make a couple mistakes. Like if I would have given Biden Georgia, I would have had him reach 309. If I would have given him Ohio, I would not have reached. I would have probably reached what is that 310 or sorry 306, 308 there. But it was just on my part. I didn't want to be wrong all the way, but I didn't want to be correct all the way either. I had a feeling, like I said, Ohio would have gone Trump, but I wasn't too comfortable putting Trump down for that category. Same thing with North Carolina and Georgia. Now, I wanted to kind of toy around here and see what would have happened if Trump had taken Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia. So I'm going to pull up another screen here, and I'm going to kind of play around with it a little bit. With my original prediction without Ohio, North Carolina, and with Georgia falling for Trump. Now, what I wanted to do was just mess around and see what would happen if all of these states had actually gone for Trump instead of Biden. As you can see, we would have had a less narrow lead for Biden. And in these states, I'll mark them as likely here just so we can kind of remember them. And in these states, he would probably have a nice run in order to recount the votes and recount everything. And if he would have done that, he still would have won even if he didn't win these. But if he would have somehow pulled ahead through all of those states, he would have ended up with 339 votes, with a margin of victory that was just way too much. Now here you see the actual map. Let's say I was incorrect with my prediction with Georgia. So let's say Georgia did go Democrats, but Michigan went blue. And then let's say because of Michigan went blue, Pennsylvania went blue. You can kind of now see how this would have been a problem. You can kind of see what I was trying to avoid in my video, was trying to make this problem happen. I knew it was likely that Joe Biden would have indeed won the race based on the recent polling and based on everything that Trump has been doing. But I just wasn't, I wasn't too, no, not South Carolina, you silly. I wasn't too happy with the way I had kind of had everything going. And I felt like this would have been more fair to see. As a Republican and as a Democrat, you would still see Joe Biden taking the victory, but you would still see Donald Trump as having a contender to it. Now, again, let's say all three of these states did indeed go to Trump instead of Joe Biden, and also he did also take, let's say he also takes Michigan. You can see the problem here as well. You need 270 electoral votes to win, and Biden's at 274, so he would have already won. But Trump, instead, was at 264. Based on what they did in Georgia, they probably would have recounted the votes there. Probably would have recounted the votes, not Georgia, sorry. Probably would have recounted the votes in Pennsylvania. He wins Pennsylvania, he wins the race. Same thing with Biden. Pennsylvania would have then became the most key state. Also Nevada over here. Trump wins Nevada, he would have won the race. He probably would have petitioned to recount there as well. And we can say the same thing for New Mexico and Arizona and New Mexico and Colorado and all that as well. It's just too close. It was too close to call in most of these states, and that was the problem with predicting. Because predictions are obviously going to be wrong half the time. I know, like I said, for mine, I wasn't comfortable putting Ohio or North Carolina or Georgia for either of them. Now, as I said before, I was incorrect. I'll admit it. I was wrong. I've kind of learned. I should have at least classified these two as likely, if leans or if not likely. And Florida should have been more than a tilt. Florida should have been more of a lean. Same thing with Texas should have been likely. This is what my map should have looked like. If I were to redo it and go back, this is what my map would have looked like. I actually would have probably had Nevada as a tilt Democrat, if I'm being honest, because that one was New Mexico as well. Those two were two of the scary ones. Now, let's go through an alternate scenario. So let's reset everything back to how they were. So Nevada, New Mexico. Let's set Georgia back. And let's set all of these back as well. So this is the actual thing. So let's say Trump recounts and they find the 11,000 votes in Georgia. What then? By doing that, they could delegitimize what happened in Nevada, what happened in New Mexico. They could even delegitimize what happened in Pennsylvania, and there you go. Trump would have won the presidency. Now, I waited this long to make this video just because I knew some people would have wanted me to wait until the Senate and the House actually ratified and certified President Trump's loss to President-elect Joe Biden. But now that that has happened, I am safely putting out this video, and I am safely going to say there was not much fraud. Sure, there's always going to be fraud in every election, but not to the scale that Trump would have needed to win. Pennsylvania, New Mexico, Nevada. That's one of the paths to victory he would have had to have taken in order to win. Now, to delegitimize each of these states would have been extremely difficult and would have taken longer than it has taken now. And Joe Biden would probably have put up a big fight like he has now. So let's say Trump wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, New Mexico, Nevada. Not Michigan, sorry. Let's say he wins all these 4 states. What can Biden do then? He can go ahead and do the same thing Trump did in Georgia. He can go ahead and do the same thing Trump did in Pennsylvania. The same thing he did in Nevada and New Mexico. And what then? Trump's victory would have slowly disappeared. But like I said, it's hard to really play the what if game because we don't really know what could have happened differently. We don't really know the aspects that everything that could have taken place. Now, for that reason, you can see how these get difficult to predict. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go through my prediction for my Senate race and see how that kind of turned out. Georgia map for the Senate election. Now, something I did not do in my video, I didn't go county by county and predict how each county would fold. That would have just been ridiculous and would have taken way too much time. Instead, I kind of gave a general statement, and I kind of said that I did think Warnock would beat Kelly Loeffler in the race, and I did think that Jon Ossoff would have hopefully pulled out ahead of Perdue. Both of which did indeed happen. The Warnock race was the least close one. It was still pretty close to watch, but it was the one that was called earlier. As for the Ossoff race, that one had me on the edge of my seat for most of the night and most of the day afterwards. Now, the day afterwards was kind of the defying mob moment, so that was and that kind of took away most of my thought, but I did see that Ossoff was confirmed to have won his race in the middle of that mass riot. Now, what I find interesting here is something that's happening in Georgia, we can expect to happen throughout the Deep South as well. As you can see, most of the cities are turning Democrat and are going blue and leaning more left. That's because that's where most of the people live. I've seen a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives sharing this map and asking themselves, there's more red, why didn't Georgia go red? And that's simply because the areas in blue have a higher population who are more likely to vote Democrat than the areas in the red. As seen here in Atlanta, you can see all the counties surrounding Atlanta, there is a lot of blue. And the further from Atlanta you get, the more red it goes, because more people live here and less people live here. The people in this area are likely going to be your conservative Christian farmers. They're going to be more family-oriented, faith-based people, whereas the more you get into the city, the more people of color you're going to get, the more younger people you're going to get. A lot of colleges are in these areas, the small-town colleges, and just more people with more of the same mindset. Now, we can expect to see this throughout a lot of the Deep South soon. I know in Texas, a lot of the major cities are booming, and with that boom comes more left leaning people than the right leaning people. Same thing's happening in Florida, and we saw with New Mexico and Nevada earlier this year during the election as well. Um, it's just going to be an interesting time to see in the next 20 to 30 years which states are which and which states become flip states. Now, I'm going to switch back to my face cam here so you can kind of see me, and I'm going to send this off. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I want to hear from you. Did you predict the race? If so, how close were you? And that goes for both Senate and for the presidential election. I want to know what you guys thought as well. Did I do a good job? Did I use good sources? Did I do anything decent? Again, I want to thank you for watching the video. Every single second you guys take to watch and listen to me ramble on and on about politics really means a lot to me. I'm hoping to grow this channel more and more, so if you would like to, share it with your friends, share it with your dog, your cat, your sister, your uncle, your sister's dog's uncle. I don't care what you do. Share this video, you leave a like, dislike it if you don't like the video. I'm not going to make you forcefully like the video. But again, just let me know what you guys think. In the description below, you're going to see all of my links, all of my socials, all of my fun stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Logan. Peace out, guys.